Stop giving your stuff away. Like, seriously, stop doing everything for free. Now, I know some people cringe when I say, baby, you should be charging. And I say that understanding full well and fully believing that we should lead with a spirit of generosity. There are times in my own business where I know God has prompted me to take on a project pro bono or maybe work with the person on the rate to help meet them where they're at, understanding that sometimes that small hand to help somebody up, out of a pit or to help them a little bit over that hill can make an incredible difference to help them take off running. I know I've been blessed to have people like that in my own life. However, I will say I have also learned the hard way that that cannot be your norm. And I've also learned the hard way that when you default to low ticket language, discount language, or giving your services or products away, that a lot of times you don't just undermine yourself, you actually undermine the very people that you were called to serve. So, case in point, there was a season in my life where I did a lot more coaching in terms of like fitness, nutrition, and personal defense. At that time, I found that I had a really hard time having those conversations with people to sell the packages at what was actually market rate for personal training. I cringed at the idea of charging somebody, a $60 package or what, like for a, one session or something like that, just because it was where I had my own mindset in terms of money. So it was a lot of my own upbringing and my own money mindsets that was infiltrating how I was having those discussions, not taking in consideration that my money mindset and where I was financially at the time was not the same as the people that I was talking to, that they were operating on not just a different financial level, but also a different frequency in terms of what they valued, what they were actually looking to accomplish and achieve, and how my language meeting them with undermining my own value was actually hurting them as much as it was hurting me. So, one big consequence that I caught in all of it, and it was like life lesson learned, was as I saw the trend towards not making enough doing what it was that I was so passionate about doing, like genuinely helping people get their lives back on track, and me consequently having to get other jobs, find other work that was outside of that, where I was doing something that I wasn't passionate about, stuff that I didn't love doing, and it was taking me away from being able to do more of what I was passionate about. So out here, I'm like working these jobs where I'm finding no point, no purpose. Like my soul is being sucked out of me underneath these fluorescent lights or whatever it might be. Meanwhile, here I was so passionate about helping people to get their health back on track and remove obstacles to healing so that they could just optimize their lives, getting their mindset back on track and all of that. And I was doing less and less of that because I couldn't afford to take time away from work that was paying me better. Like, how does that check out? How does that make sense? And then on top of that, what it ended up doing too was depleting the energy that I felt inside, that fire that I had inside for working in that. My passion continued to go down, not because I stopped caring about the result that I was helping people to get, but because the lack of income and the financial strain and all that it was doing to me and my family was just choking the life out of me, and it was sucking the life energy out of it. So I was actually depleting my ability to serve the people that I most passionately wanted to serve at the capacity that I wanted to serve at. So take that one as a note, please. Haven't if you haven't taken that one down as part of the consequences, like please learn from what I had to learn the hard way, because there are so many of you that are gifted. You are truly skilled and truly passionate. You have this beautiful combination of passion and aptitude in what it is that you're doing. And you may not see how the very energy that you have to do it at your best is being depleted by you struggling to see the value in what you're bringing and receive the value that you should be in return. So with that, that was kind of another layer that I learned through the years, was that value language, right? When we get caught up in repeatedly giving things away, sometimes it's because we're just so generous. I just want to love people. I just want to give, give, give. And we're going to get to the implications as far as that goes in just a moment. But one of the things that I noted too was that as much as I would have said at the time that it was that I was trying to be loving and generous, a lot of times that was actually just a veil or a cloak for my own insecurity and lack of value. And I see that in a lot of people too, where they like really struggle to see the value in what they bring. So there's a combination of old money mindsets that may be wrapped in things like poverty or struggle. Maybe they didn't have a whole lot growing up and really had to learn how to stretch a dollar. Maybe they're used to not getting paid much with other types of jobs. And then on top of that, they struggle to see the actual value that they're bringing into someone's life by doing the thing that they do. That's one of the things that I love about having brand discussions with people is because part of what we unpack is what we call a knockoff effect for the value that you bring. So you might come out to the market saying that you are a painter and say, well, I'm just painting the wall. I'm just putting the paint on the wall so that they don't have to. I'm getting the edges and the corners that they have a hard time reaching. You might limit it to that, but then when we peel back the layers, like maybe you're serving in the residential sector where the work that you are doing is helping to brighten someone's day and make them feel better about the home that they view as their own sanctuary. Maybe it's helping to uplift their spirits and all of these things. But you could also equally take that into a corporate setting where you're like, no, you're actually helping to uplift people's spirits over the course of their workday in a place that they're stuck. It used to be just so drab and dreary and was so depressing to sit in that office. And now it's like, wow, they feel legit about where they're showing up day to day. They feel like energized and charged because they're in a different space. You're helping to create an atmosphere. So again, that's just like a super quick example. And we could continue to deep dive and unpack that even further and in a million different ways as far as why that matters. But again, the point of that being a lot of times you are out there, you are just doing your thing in the world. You're doing that thing that you're skilled in that comes easier to you for whatever reason than maybe to other people, whether that's bookkeeping or artistry, you name it. But oftentimes it becomes so commonplace to us that we forget the value that we're actually bringing. And when we forget that we're bringing value, then it becomes a little bit harder to have a conversation about how much value we're going to receive in return. And this is where I also see some people, and this is especially in a Christian context, wrestle between ego and humility, right? So this is where, oh, I don't want to charge that much, like, but it's when we're talking like that, if we were being honest, a lot of times it can actually go back to whatever belief patterns we have ingrained as to what humility is, what our value is. Like some people, when they start hyping themselves up about the value that they bring or feeling like they're doing that, then they feel like, oh gosh, like I'm moving over into ego and let me get away from that because I don't want to be prideful. I'm not trying to encourage you to be prideful. I'm trying to encourage you to appreciate the value that you're bringing to the people that it's intended for, and that it's okay for you to receive value in return as part of the provision that God has in mind for you with what He skilled you to bring into the market. The exchange of values is not a bad thing. You being paid and being paid well for what you do is not a bad thing. So if you're one of those people that's caught up in thinking, oh, maybe I'm not worth it, or not as good as this other person, or I don't want to be prideful, I don't want to be too much, I don't want to, whatever, like stop and allow yourself to just sit with that for a minute, process the real value that you're bringing and what is truly a fair value for you to receive. You're obviously not going out here to trying to get paid as much as possible for the sake of being greedy, right? Like you being able to go out and multiply with all the resources that you have can allow you to make an even bigger impact with those resources. Okay. So when we look at how much you're charging, maybe how much you're not, the discussions that you're having, I did mention that another component of that that we have to be cautious about is whether we are undermining the very people we are called to serve. And the reason why I say that is because when people come to us with a problem for which we actually do have a solution, sometimes we run them away when we default to language that suggests that we're not so confident in the solution that we have to offer. It might be suggesting that we think that we're not as good as somebody else in the marketplace, when in reality, some of our competitors, I would pray not, but some of them might be more predators than helpers in whatever it is that these people are trying to accomplish. Some of them are all about the dollar and all about how much they can squeeze out of somebody. And as much as I would love to say that, all of my competitors are doing equal work and helping people at the same level, I can't say that honestly. I've seen a lot of people that are taken advantage of. I've seen a lot of people that have come to me and said, at like I do like a 10-minute presentation, and they're coming to me saying, you know what, 6 years ago, I spent $20,000 for this company to help me with my brand. And I learned more from what you just said in that last 10 minutes than everything they did for me throughout that whole package. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Right. But that same person, if I had met them when they were in the season of looking to do that rebrand that they paid that other company the 20,000 for, and I was like, oh well, I could do it for maybe 5,000, they would have been scared. They probably would have ran. Why? Because they were coming to me for a solution that meant to them way more than what that budget was in the moment. Sometimes when we jump to a discount language, especially for somebody's not saying that they're actively struggling, right? You're making an assumption for one that could offend them by assuming that they don't have it, or that the price was the objection to begin with. You can also be suggesting that you're not really confident in what it is that you could do for them. You might be signaling to them that them doing business with you is a risk. If I'm looking to have somebody help me steer the ship of my business to go one way or another, and I need this to work, I need this to be profitable, and it's not just money right now that's on the line, but my time and opportunity, and maybe even the vitality of my company for the rest of its tenure. Like, the wrong move here could be a major setback. I don't want the person that's going to do the work for the cheapest. I want the person who's going to get the job right. And when you are that person that is determined that you are going to do whatever it is that you do at the highest caliber, you have to be cautious where language or surrounding pricing might undermine the person's perception of it. Because if they think that you're not going to do as good of a job as we know that you're going to do, and they consequently fall into the hands of one of your competitors, what could happen to them? Why would they fall into that situation? Because at some point the communication signaled to them something that may not have actually been true, where we know that you are going to show up and you're going to do a killer job. So have the discussions. Obviously, you're not going to overcharge just for the sake of overcharging. And that's something that I've seen as a trend in the recent years when it comes to premium pricing models and language. And I think a lot of it is going, right in step with the inflation on all of that. There are certain mindsets around products and pricing and all of that, and I get it. There's a sort of buyer psychology that happens there. Sometimes people are actually served, and I know it might be another cringe statement, but sometimes people are better served by being charged more. And I say that because we could even look back when I was doing the coaching and stuff like that. People that were charged less, and we could take this where we're talking $20 versus $60, or we could take it where we're talking 600 versus 6,000. You could take it 6,000 up through 120,000. Like, the chasm is not so much the point as understanding that there are times when somebody is paying less for something than what they normally would have to pay, and they don't show up the same. They don't appreciate the investment the same. They don't appreciate the level of expertise and commitment the same. They'll cancel, they'll show up late, they're checked out and yapping or whatever. Whereas people that have made a solid investment as a way of demonstrating their commitment to the outcome, a lot of times they show up in a way that allows you to help them to facilitate much better results. That is you serving them. So when we look at a lot of the common trends that pivot around premium pricing and I'm going to charge this much just because, you got all these freaking influencers out there that want you to believe the hype about, just charge premium pricing and you can work remote from Bali and da 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 da. Like, baby, you better be backing that up with real value in the marketplace, or else you're only going to get so far before that well dries up and people are going to be onto you. The reviews are going to come in and you like, the stuff that you're selling is just a freaking regurgitation of all the other business coaching programs that you took. Like, there are a lot of people out there that unfortunately are making their dollar and their dime off of the premium pricing mindset, where they're really just repackaging and selling other coaching programs that they have. And I say this as somebody that's seen, have seen inside the hive, I've seen a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, I've seen into a lot of peer coaching programs, you name it, like all of that. And there are some of them that are legit. There are some of them that are truly high caliber coaches that you would do very well to partner up with. But understand that there are also people that misuse that, and those people that misuse premium pricing models eventually get found out. We don't want to charge premium pricing just to say we are premium. You really want to find the sweet spot that says that you're confident in the value that you bring, you're ready to serve, you're ready to equally exchange those values with the people that you're working with, as a way of signaling that it's not you over them, it's not you preying upon them, it's you collaborating with them to help them get to somewhere they genuinely want to be. This could be for the person that is running a B2B business or a B2C business. You're serving business to consumer or business to business. You could be doing products, or you could be doing services. You could be doing a hybrid. You could be online. You could be in person in a brick and mortar. Like, the truth still stands that you want to make sure that you're showing up in a way that says that you have confidence in the value that you're here to bring, and that you're ready to serve eagerly the people that you've been called to serve with that. I love in Proverbs 31, it says that she sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. And when you look at that Proverbs 31 woman, she is generous. Generosity is core to Christian entrepreneurship and Christians in business, right? That is a core and key value. It is an expression of love in what we do. But generosity doesn't always mean giving what you do away for free. Sometimes that generosity shows up in you multiplying resources so that more abound for the people that you're working with. Sometimes it shows up in the opportunities that you create, the culture that you create, the atmosphere you create. So when you're talking about going out and bringing your value into the world and leading with a spirit of generosity, understand that profitability is not in conflict with that. That profitability should work in tandem with that to help you create an exponential impact with everything that's placed in your hands. So I pray today that you would receive that. I pray that you would see the value that you have to bring into this world, that you would joyfully go out and multiply, and that you would see life just multiply back unto you in return. Thank you so much for watching. Before you cut out, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss content on building a brand and a business you genuinely love. Take care.